What's going on, everybody? It's Rock again with another video. I guess I kind of enjoyed the first video, my first video ever on YouTube. But Happy New Year, and hopefully you achieve all your goals that you set and your New Year's resolutions and everything. I came back with another video early in the new year because I had a couple things on my mind that I want to discuss with you. I think when I discuss topics that concern me or things like that, I think I call it Rock's reality. If that's a little too corny for you, leave me a comment and maybe I'll cut that out. But for right now, my first topic on Rock's reality is going to be: are we becoming desensitized to black on black violence? And a few things that made me think of that was things like, the incident with Trayvon Martin and like Sean Bell, the guy that got killed by the police officers, all these gunshots, and he didn't even have a weapon. I believe it was on his wedding day. And also like the young boy that was at the gas station that got killed just for having his music too loud. And I was angry. I was pissed off. I was upset. I signed all the petitions with the Trayvon thing and everything, just like everybody else. And I applaud everybody for coming together for one main cause, because Trayvon's family might have not got any closure, or his killer may have not been brought to justice if that wasn't the case. My main question is, why aren't we as equally outraged when our black youth are killing each other? A black on black crime, black youth killing black youth, every day on the street corners. You see all that stuff going on in Chicago. I see it right in my surrounding and right in my area, and it really doesn't get that much attention. It might get, a few sentences on Facebook, shaking my head, SMH or something, SMDH if it's extreme, SMFH, you know what I mean? Not to make light of the subject, but you get what I'm trying to say. We really aren't outraged about that. And the bottom line is our black youth are killing each other at a way higher rate than these incidents of like the stand your ground, or a racial profiling death, and it's definitely as equally as wrong. But if you don't address the situation that's killing the bulk of us, because it's almost like internal genocide. If you worried about racism and somebody hating your race, what do you think about people who are racist looking at you just killing yourselves? They won't do nothing but sit back and smile and say, well, you doing a job for us. We don't got to go to jail to do this. You killing yourselves. And, I believe that we should be more outraged at what's going on in our community. I guess that's to sum it up. And we gotta try to change it. We can't give up on our youth either, or our adults. We can't give up. I mean, it's a battle, it's a struggle, but we are all in this together. Like I said, I love my people. But to that point, the question is, what are we going to do to change it? And believe me, if I had the answer, I would have been screaming it at the top of my lungs from the rooftops, you know what I mean, to any ear that would listen. Of course, I would have already told you the solution. I don't have the answers. I'm basically trying to spark your mind so we can maybe brainstorm or start something. We got to start somewhere. You know what I mean? But what I was thinking is, if you have a person that don't believe they have a future, don't believe, regardless of whatever they do, that they can't succeed in life, or they will never amount to nothing because that's just all the odds are against them, how could they value their life? How could they love their self? How could they value life or even value another life? If they feel that way about themselves and then they see somebody else that looks like them, obviously they're not going to value that life. They don't care at that point. If you don't love yourself, if you don't think there's no way you can succeed, you don't care about going to jail. You don't care about dying. You don't care about the consequences of happening if you kill somebody else. if you follow what I'm saying. So, like I said, I really don't have the solution, but obviously we got to start somewhere. So, what I was thinking is, anybody, you have like parents, it obviously has to start with the parents, mentors, teachers, coaches, anybody that can have these youth's ear. We got to try to remind them of our history and what we've been through, what we've overcome. Tell them about those 400 years plus of slavery that our ancestors went through. Tell them to never forget that. Or if they really don't hear enough or study enough about that, tell them what it really was about. Tell them that our ancestors were raped and killed and hung, and sold up the river, treated like animals, like savages. Tell them we weren't able to marry. We weren't even able to have a family structure. How could a black man feel like he's the head of his household when the master can come down and rape his wife and sell his kids and sell his wife down the river? That's where the whole phrase "sold down the river," because black people weren't allowed to marry. We weren't allowed to build none. And I'm talking about 400 years. We got to tell our kids this, over 400 years plus. Tell them how we was getting killed. You got generations on top of generations. Over 400 years is a long time. Just think about your lifespan. That means you got ancestors that were born into slavery and died into slavery. Their mother, their father, their grandfather, their great-grand was born into slavery and died into slavery, but they kept strong. You know what I mean? So, it's a lot that goes into it, and I don't want to get off topic too much, but we gotta make our kids love themselves. And it's definitely not about a racism issue. I'm not a racist. I just love myself. When I look in the mirror, I love myself. And that's what we got to instill in our children. I love what we came from. You know what I mean? Because if you don't love yourself, it's impossible. And this obviously is not my quote, but if you don't love yourself, it's impossible for you to love anybody else. So if you don't love your own race, how could you love another race? If you're not confident yourself, if you can't build a relationship and like who you are, how could you like somebody else? So that's kind of the premise that I was going on. But I also don't want you to let these kids think that, our history began and ended with slavery. We were brought over here from Africa, the land where we came from, a history of kings and queens and, and civilized, wise thinkers. Great things happen. We've had great things that nobody talks about, that you gotta tell the youth. Tell them about how our ancestors built pyramids, big tons on top of tons of this, one of the greatest archaeological structures known to man. To this day, they still standing looking beautiful. People travel to go see it. And this was before the crane technology, or that might have originated the crane technology. How did they... It's just amazing. They even say the tips of them, align with the sun, moon, and the stars. Stuff like that. How, mummification, how, embalming and preserving dead bodies. That all originated. The first ever brain surgery was started over there. Philosophers. All these great philosophers, these Greek philosophers that you hear about, they wouldn't study and commit in Africa. You know what I mean? Socrates, Plato. The sciences, the mathematics, all that stuff, it was there. And we were a part of that. Our ancestors were. So, it's just something to think about. But the bottom line is, before I get too deep, I'm sorry if I got off course. I just wanted to get something to spark the issue, and hopefully we can go on from there. And in closing, I want to quote an old school rap song from my man Kool Moe Dee. And he said, back in the 60s, our brothers and sisters were hanged. How could you gangbang? I never ever ran from the Ku Klux Klan, and I shouldn't have to run from a black man. Feel me? One love. Peace. To the next episode.